Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back to another video that none of you actually asked for, but I don't care. So today we're going to be over my credit card setup and strategy behind it. Going over all the cards that I have right now, all the cards that I'm planning on getting this year, and how they fit into a strategy that allows me to get the maximum cashback, points, overall compensation for my everyday spend. Now, before we get into this, a couple ground rules for any of you who might want to follow along. I'm not spending money I don't have to maintain these credit cards, to hit bonuses, to do whatever. These cards are really tools that I use to reward me for everyday spending. I have a budget. I stick to it each and every month. I spend X amount on food, X amount on gas, X amount on a couple of miscellaneous things here and there. So when it comes to my budget, I run a tight ship, and that is why somebody like me can take full advantage of credit cards. However, you're someone who has no budget, is financially irresponsible, racks up debt like the US government, then credit cards are not for you. So these are my current credit cards, just going chronological order of when I got them, kind of go over why I got them, the benefits they offer, and how they fit into my strategy. So getting into it, my first ever credit card that I had in my name was this one, the One Savor One. The reason I got it is because my mom had it. She recommended it because it was a pretty solid card. As you can see, all the benefits over here. Covers a lot of bases for a first card. And obviously this being kind of like a mid-tier One product, you have no annual fee. Since I got like a student with excellent credit or great credit version of this card, I got a $200 sign-up bonus for what I think was spending about $500 in 6 months, I believe. Back then when I was 18, 19, and all I would do is school, work out, and eat, this covered a lot of bases with 3% on groceries, 3% on dining. All the cash back actually added up pretty quick with the amount I was eating. And another thing too as well about the grocery category, I'm not sure about other stores, but GNC, that is covered under it as well. So for somebody like me who has a very thorough supplement routine, who is in there once, twice a month spending a good amount of money, this is a great card to have. And I believe as well, all these categories are unlimited, so whether something like me spending $400 or $500 a month on groceries, like $50, $100 on dining, if you're someone who's always going out to eat, you're someone who is spending crazy amount of money on groceries because you have like a family or you just eat like a family, this is actually a great card for you. Additionally too, get 3% back on entertainment and select streaming, so it doesn't really apply to me because I just, I enjoy watching political and financial content online, so I don't really need to be entertained by Hollywood propaganda, but each their own. You also get 5% back on travel booked through the One Travel Portal. I booked a couple hotels in there. Very user-friendly, and it's nice to get the 5% back as well. So now my next card was the American Express Blue Cash Everyday. The reason I went with this card was there's kind of two reasons. For one, I just want Amex. I thought it'd be cool. Like, throw that bitch down somewhere and be like, yo, I got an Amex. Obviously, it's the, the free version that really anyone can get, no annual fee. However, it does have some pretty good benefits. Obviously, it has no annual fee, but also has a $250 sign-up bonus when I first got it. Apart from that, though, it's actually a pretty solid card, which helped fill in a lot of categories when I was first starting out. Kind of like the Savor One, you have 3% back on groceries, but where this card really stepped up was 3% back on gas and online shopping. Obviously, gas is the big one. That's a major category in a lot of people's budgets. And also online shopping, too. For me, every once in a while, I have my typical Amazon splurge of recording equipment, travel stuff, whether it's buying gear online I think I can survive the apocalypse with. Whatever it might be, I'm doing my occasional online splurging just like everybody else is. And this is a good card to reward that spend with 3% back. And similar to the One Savor One, it does have a benefit for, streaming and whatnot. I think this is like a Yeah, I believe this is for like Disney Plus, Hulu, whatnot. Again, like I'm not really into watching nonsense, so this doesn't really benefit me. However, all this here does, and that's why I got this card. All right, so now this is where the complexity, but also the magic of credit cards starts to come in with this card here, the Citi Custom Cash. So this is the first card of the primary strategy that involves revolving high multipliers. But with this card, you get the multiplier based off the kind of spending you do with this card. So obviously, like all the other cards before, it's no annual fee. Got a $200 sign-up bonus for, I think, spending $1,500 in 6 months. So about average, $200 comes in the form of points. So that's about 20,000 points that you can use for cashback, for travel, or for a whole host of other things. But the real beauty of this card is that you get 5x points, 5% back on a category of choice up to $500 a month. And so what makes this card unique and why I was so quick to get us into my setup is because every other 5x, 5% cashback credit card, like you have to Discover It, you have the Chase Free and Flex, which we'll see later, you are locked into a bonus calendar. So one quarter, it'll be, let's say, dining. Next quarter, it'll be groceries. Next quarter, it'll be gas and electric vehicle charging. Last quarter will be like Amazon. Well, this card is essentially up to your discretion. Pretty much how it works is it takes the highest spend category on this card and assigns that 5% or 5x back on the money you spend. So let's say you spend $300 on groceries, then $200 on gas. You'll get the 5x in the groceries since you spent more. And you'll get 1% back on the gas and everything else spent on the card. So for me, with having groceries be my highest spend category, I assign this card to buying groceries. And so every month I get close to about $25 back in cash back, which is a pretty good chunk of change for buying groceries that I'd be buying anyways. And obviously looking back at the previous two cards, like both cards, the Amex Capital One, both had 3% cash back. So as you start to accumulate cards, you'll find some redundancy, but that's why I need to get cards like higher multiplier categories. So obviously Capital One had dining, the Amex had gas and shopping. This card is a specialty weapon meant for groceries. And obviously as well, just like Capital One card, you also do get 5% back on travel booked through the Citi Travel Portal. I personally haven't taken too good of a look at the Citi Travel Portal, but I've heard things about the Citi Travel Portal hiking up prices a little bit. But obviously just do your research, find a deal that works best for you, and just use your points accordingly. So now this card was sites on it, was on the radar, but the reason I jumped on it was because this card ended up being a sign-up bonus play. So obviously it's Chase Free Unlimited. It's the no annual fee kind of catch-all card. So pretty much it has a elevated multiplier on all spending regardless. Usually the sweet spot's close to about 2% for a catch-all card, but with Chase points, they're known in the industry to be very valuable for travel. Figured with the value of the points plus this limited time $300 sign-up bonus that I got at the time. This was like, I say at the time like it was a while ago. This was like start of this month in January. So obviously these cards on radar. I saw the sign-up bonus. I'm like, hey, that's like 30,000 Chase points right there just for spending $500 on whatever. So applied at the start of the year, got the card, got the sign-up bonus in like 2 weeks for just putting everything on the card. And obviously you can kind of see here, for me, I'm a little special about it. Like I could have in theory taken my time, like gotten the maximum rewards, but I'm also just like, let's just get to 30,000 and then just, not worry about points here and there. It's like, you're not gonna walk over dollars, pick up pennies. You're not gonna like worry about like, your points efficiency when you can just get like pretty much $300 worth of points and like less than a month of spending. But however though, unlike other casual cards, like you'll see later, this actually has other multipliers on categories like dining and drugstores. And we talked about this too with redundancy. Like yes, it's similar to the Capital One card. Capital One card, again, has the 3% back on groceries and dining. However though, the reason I'm fine with that is because this card has a foreign transaction fee of 3%, which essentially negates any benefit of using this card in our country. However, the Capital One card does not have a foreign transaction fee. And actually none of them do, which actually lends itself to be a very friendly travel card setup, which again, we'll get into later, but sort of think about too as well. It's like not necessarily benefit to get up front with the multipliers. Think about, ease of use, cost of use, and just where and when to use the cards. But anyways, moving on from that, and obviously the main reason about this card is 1.5 times multiplier on all the purchases. So, all the previous cards I have, 1% back on non-designated category spend. So, go to Walmart, I buy tickets to some sort of attraction or entertainment, that's 1% back, but this is obviously 50% more with 1%, with the 1.5% or 1.5x multiple on spend. Again, it's not the 2% we're looking for, but the chase points, not too worried about it. And just like the Savor card and the Citi card, get that 5x back on bookings through the travel portal. So my next card, this kind of completes this rotating high multiple category setup, is the Chase Freedom Flex. And now shockingly, I actually just got approved this card the other day, which is insane because, you're supposed to, apply for a card like every 3 to 6 months. I'm kind of like, I'm like super hyperfixated on credit cards right now, so I'm just going to apply and see what happens. Then for some reason my application went to pending, and then I had to call somebody. And like, we want to accept you. You just got to open up like your other credit bureau, because I had my credit frozen. Because if you haven't done that yet, make sure to do that, because it just stops people from using your credit for nefarious purposes. But yeah, just make sure you are thaw or unfreeze your credit before you apply for credit cards. You don't have to go through this whole series of calling customer service to have them approve or decline your application. But anyways, I digress. Obviously, like all the previous cards, this card has no annual fee. It came with a $200 sign-up bonus, so again, that's 20,000 chase points. And now, like we talked about with the Citi card, or unlike the Citi card, this has that 5x back on rotating categories, which is again like $1,500 a quarter, which is $500 a month. So this month has like actually a few different categories. It's like, I think the Red Cross and some cruise line is cool if like you're a boomer who likes to go on cruises or spend money on Red Cross memorabilia, or it might be the American Heart Association. But anyways, the big category for this quarter is actually dining. So you get 5x back on dining. So that adds on top of this, generic 3x back on dining across all quarters. Along with just like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, you also get the 3% back on drugstores and the 5% back on bookings through the travel portal. So the reason I have these two cards, you may be asking, it's like, well, that seems kind of redundant. Why do you have two 5% back credit cards? Is because it follows this rotating schedule. So what I'll do is I'll assign these 5x categories to my highest spend. So that goes groceries, then gas, dining, insurance, miscellaneous spending, and whatnot. So as this card rotates through categories, I'll take the Citi Custom Cash and reassign that card to a different category. So next quarter, when this card is groceries or gas, what I'll do is I will take the Citi Custom Cash, allocate that towards gas, get the 5% back on the gas. Well, this card gets 5% back on the groceries. And then the quarter after that, let's say this card becomes the gas card, has a 5x back on gas, then I'll put the Citi Custom Cash back under groceries. So you kind of start to see as this card has rotating categories, the Citi Custom Cash will rotate in sympathy, so it'll help me capture maximum cash back, maximum reward in my highest spending categories. And obviously with the Amex too, that's a pretty, good card to kind of round off to, where that card has the 3% back on gas and online shopping. So if this card becomes like an online shopping Amazon card, then obviously then that becomes like the Citi Custom Cash stays groceries, and then Amex I'll just use for gas. You can start to see it. There's a lot of moving parts to this part of my strategy, but I'm sure you can follow along. It all starts to make sense. So now the cards that are to come in 2026 may seem a little redundant, but each will firmly have a place in my credit card strategy. And so at this point in time, I've gone from my mom's JetBlue card to 5 of my own cards in pretty much under the past 2 years. And all those cards are cashback cards, whether that's like directly cashback or points that are redeemable one-to-one for cashback. So me having the obsession and the insight to credit cards that I do, I believe now is a good time to start looking to travel credit cards. Cards that have a higher barrier to entry, but offer outsized return. So next card on my radar is going to be the Capital One Venture X. Now, this is a big jump. all my previous cards had no annual fee. This has close to $400 for an annual fee, $395. However, you look at other travel credit cards like, like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Amex Platinum, the very underwhelming Citi Strata Elite. Those cards are essentially just coupon books. They have to put all this time and effort in to use credits to make up the value, and it's just a headache. Well, this card right here offers all the value up front and pretty much pays for itself right out the gate. And so with this card, being a travel card, you get the most value, get this, from using it on travel spend. So through the Capital One portal, if you use this card, you get 10x back on hotels and rental cars, which, you're probably spending a good amount on a hotel or rental car, so this obviously adds up pretty quick. And following that, this has 5x back on flights and other rental lodging, like like a condo or like an Airbnb or whatnot. And then the beauty of this card is we had like that gold standard 2x, 2% reward for all of the spending. So looking back at our previous strategy, we have cards that cover high spend categories like groceries, gas, and dining. We have cards that cover online shopping, entertainment, if you're into that. But this card here has like that 2x back on all miscellaneous spending. So, your Walmart trips, your miscellaneous spending, this card will have you covered. But it doesn't stop there. Now, you guys have multipliers on spending categories. You'll make back a good amount, if not all its annual fee through spending. But, where's the fun in that? You're just breaking even. So to incentivize this card, every year you get a $300 travel credit in cash, which offsets 3/4 of its annual fee. Additionally, you hold this card for a year, and every year going beyond that, you get a 10,000 mile anniversary bonus, which is essentially another $100. So already with these first two credits, you're getting $5 for holding this card. But then there's more. You get lounge access. So obviously lounge access is very dependent on, where you're from, the airports you fly out of, the airlines you use. Everybody values it differently. For me, my local airports are Manchester, New Hampshire, then Boston Logan. And Manchester is just some, danky regional airport that doesn't have much going on. And Logan has the Priority Pass lounges. So obviously Capital One, they have their own lounges, but those are like over like, New York, Washington, D.C., and other major travel hubs. But we also get access to the Priority Pass lounges, which is kind of like a international network of lounges, kind of depending where you go. Quality can be exceptional or pretty basic. Heard as well that they're usually a little better internationally, so when I go off to Portugal or wherever else this summer, I'll be sure to take advantage of that if and when I have this card at that time. Make sure to check that one out. But the one at Boston seems pretty underwhelming from what I've seen. But obviously, assess this credit card, ensure that it has the value that you're looking for. And also, like many other credit cards, you do have TSA pre-check or a global entry credit. So pretty much, I forget, so like 3 to 5 years, you get membership for this. This card will cover that. And also, just pre-check and it gets you through security faster. And also, his last one too also is a very unique benefit with also having primary rental car insurance. So many credit cards, like, you just look at the contract, Chase, Citi, they say they offer rental car insurance, but it's secondary to your insurance. So if anything happens, you have to go through your insurance, your insurance will be affected, your premiums will go up, it'll be a whole mess. Well, this card here, if anything happens with the rental, your car insurance is not touched. If anything happens, Capital One will take care of it, and not you. And obviously, last but not least, with a big host of benefits, a big annual fee, you obviously got to have a pretty sizable sign-up bonus too. So what sucks is that recently they just got rid of the 100,000 mile sign-up bonus for this card. Now it's back down to 75,000, which is still at least $750 in value that you get for spending money on this card and paying it back. And also, just like the Savor One, this card has no foreign transaction fees. So when it comes to a travel card, this card seems to be very well equipped, not many strings attached, just simple value that's easy to use. And our last card, I'll be looking at getting either this year or super early on next year, is a double cash. Similar to Venture X, it's a 2x points, 2% back on all purchases regardless. And just like the other no annual fee and the Citi card, you have like that 5x back, 5% back on travel booked through their portal. It's similar to the Citi Custom Cash. It's no annual fee. It's a $200 20,000 point sign-up bonus. This card's pretty meat and potatoes. When all the other high category spending is covered, this card will more than happy fill in the gap. This card may seem underwhelming, Going back to the Venture X, like, a whole list of benefits. This one is kind of just your run-of-the-mill catch-all card. And the reason for that is to have some positive form of redundancy in my setup. So let's say down the road, I don't travel as much, or the Venture X gets nerfed like every other travel card has, seems like in the past couple of years, where either the annual fee goes up, the benefits go down. So worst case scenario, I have to cancel the Venture X card. I'll have another rock solid, no annual fee catch-all card to pick up the slack. And so that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it insightful. Kind of got to share my personal experience with credit cards. Kind of get to display my strategy, the method behind the madness when it comes to all this. As you can tell, it's very much a game of patience, waiting to apply for a card, researching the right cards, making sure a card can have a clear place in your setup and in your life, and also just being responsible with them. Again, all these cards talked about, use them like debit cards. Won't spend money that you have, you'll prosper. Max them out, don't pay them off. All these, benefits and sign-up bonuses and travel perks will not mean a thing. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you feel it warrants it, and I'll see you in the next one. You guys take care.